Colonel Rob Maness has a lifelong record of providing dedicated service to this nation. Having worked his way up from the enlisted ranks to full colonel, he served our country for more than 32 years. He has served as a bomber squadron commander, bomb disposal technician, Joint Chiefs of Staff Operations Officer, assisted the National Security Team with the campaign plan for the global war on terrorism. He authored the first theater nuclear war plan and served as the Vice Commander of America's largest airborne intelligence wing. Colonel Rob Maness is a true American hero. This is Rob Maness Live.
But you're going to consider pardoning even those who pleaded guilty to crimes, including assaulting police officers?
Sometimes they say, here's your choice.
You're not ruling it out?
Look, I know the system. The system's a very corrupt system. They say to a guy, you're going to go to jail for 2 years or for 30 years. And these guys are looking, their whole lives have been destroyed. For 2 years, they've been destroyed. But the system is a very nasty system.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show. It's Whistleblower Wednesday, and we're live on Worldview Tube and X-Space's simulcast. Well, folks, you just saw that in that powerful opening video. It's the shocking story, true story of Chris and Erin Mazzei, a hardworking couple who had the federal government turn the law into a weapon against them over, of all things, a PPP loan in Hawaii. They were slammed with a $1.3 billion fraud case. Prosecutors lied to the court, had evidence hidden, and sentenced both of them to prison, even though most of the money had already been repaid. This is textbook lawfare and a dangerous weaponization of our justice system. And on today's Whistleblower Wednesday, we're going deep. As we talk about Chris and Erin's horrific experiences, you'll hear Trump Attorney John Lauro explain the growing problem of weaponized prosecutions. Then Michael Caputo will be on the show in a clip, and he'll break down what he thinks needs to be coming next in this fight. And later we'll share a powerful message from Governor Blagojevich reminding us just how fragile the gift of freedom really is, and the governor is a big supporter of Chris and Erin. Chris, welcome to the Rob Maness Show. Thanks for being here and letting us have the opportunity to help you expose this. Tell our audience exactly what happened to you and Erin and why we should all be concerned about this. Every American should be concerned about it, because it's not equal justice under the law like we all believe in.
Oh yeah. And first, thanks for having me on, Rob. We met almost a month ago. So when I was able to go to DC, yeah, this is, when you're first brought into this world, you're kind of catapulted in for most average Amerians. But yeah, my wife and I, during the first Trump administration, we had a successful business. We were doing great under all of his policies. And my history, I went to film school, went to AFI. I know you and I have talked about the industry when we were in DC, and 2018 rolled around. We were doing quite successful, and I said, hey, let's take a leap back in there, just one last effort, see what can happen. So I made contacts again, and we had this project called Ohana that I started writing into 18, early 2019. We had some good connections in Hollywood to get it made. We're from California. It was a Hawaii-based movie, our TV series. And it was about, we would go to Hawaii a lot. Like when I say a lot, like a few months out of the year spread out. And because we had that luxury, and just started to learn more that you don't see on the postcards. And there was a lot of organized crime going on in Hawaii. Dating back since the 50s, the 60s, especially heavy in the 1990s, and a lot of government corruption over there.
Right.
So this kind of sparked that idea. Our series was a fictional character, but it was surrounded by a lot of factual events that happened. Mm-hmm. And we were in development and then getting into pre-production, and then COVID hit and everything kind of fell apart. I reached out to I reached out to our local banks, and they're like, we don't know what this loan is about. We're not doing it right now. And I've told multiple people. Unfortunately, at that time, I was kind of relying on the news from the Today Show, which it's my own fault. And they said, you need to apply. The money's going to be gone, so you don't have to go to your banks. All the banks, just reach out. So I still didn't apply. I started reaching out, and I said, hey, this is what it looks like for us. We do not have historical. We have a budget set up. Will it work for us? And one of the bank originators emailed back and said, you can use projections. And we've had SBA loans, traditional SBA loans for businesses in the past. And one of the big things in SBA, it's all about wanting to see what your business is going to be able to do. We're taking the risk in your business. So they want anywhere from 18 months to 24 months of projections. Right. Not just payroll. They want to know your rent. Like, they want to see if you have a viable plan. Right. So when the loan originator said, hey, projections are acceptable, it didn't throw any red flags. And so we applied after that. Mm-hmm. Everything was going great. We were getting back into production. We actually went to Hawaii, scouted places over the summer of 2020. And then in October of 2020, we shot a teaser trailer, and this is kind of standard in the industry to attach a star. And we were looking at quite a few different actors to come over and be in the production. All those crew members, it was a small crew member shoot because it was still COVID. I think we had maybe a dozen, but they were all thankful. They had all been out of work for 7, 8, 9 months at the time. Yeah. So, it went to pay them, and we kept going, kept shopping it. And then 2021 rolled around, and we were getting ready to go back to Hawaii for the summer to possibly shoot the pilot for this. Mm-hmm. And May was an interesting month. Let's just put it that way. We got a target letter, scared Erin and I. It was out of the blue. We didn't even know what it was for at the time. Because in a roundabout way, someone gave us a business card when we were at a car dealership, because we were getting ready to go back to Hawaii. So I used to flip cars all the time back in the day. I'm like, well, the used car market was through the roof during COVID. Right. I'm like, well, let's just sell the car and we'll go over to Hawaii, and we'll worry about a car when we come back. And it was only a couple grand profit. It wasn't much. And the dealer's like, we can't give you the money for it, because our federal agents came and said, you guys are under investigation. I thought he was kidding at the time. Wow. I've known this guy. And that shook us up. And luckily that same day, our kids were having a play date at a friend of mine's house that is a personal injury attorney. And he saw when we pulled up, we were stark white. And he's like, what's going on? And he's like, I'm not going to call this number. This is way above my league. Let me try and get you somebody today to handle this. And that's when we met with just a local a local criminal defense attorney. They don't do federal here where we were. And she called, and that's when we first found out this had to do with the PPP, which we're like, what is going on? So yeah, that started in 2021. That was when we first found out anything of this. And then,
so Chris, let me just ask you this real quick, and then I want you to keep telling the story, but just refresh our memory about the PPP loan. It was designed during COVID so that companies could stay in business and continue to pay their employees, right?
It was for that. They had certain expenses that it could be for. Okay. So
and when salary.
Yeah. Right. And then when we first got it, I'm like, this is a lot of money. I do not want this in our account. I knew what we were allowed to take personally to pay ourselves. So we took that amount, put that in our account, and the majority of it, I'm like, I don't want it in our account. So we put it in a separate bank account for Ohana, set up for that production, for the payroll, for everything. And, that's what the government now charged us for wire or money laundering. That was their way. Well, you moved over $10,000 to an account that's money laundering. Like, well, I wasn't trying to hide it. Like we literally did it because we thought we were doing the correct thing. I didn't want it in our accounts. But yeah, I mean, at the time, I knew a lot of other people that got PPPs and didn't have any issues. I talked to them, and it was there. It was a lifeline. That's what the media was selling it for. I mean, I remember quotes from the Today Show at the time saying, apply. They're not going to throw you in jail. If you have a small issue with your loan, it's not, they know this is being done fast. And I still didn't do it fast. I still made sure everything was done how we were told. So, yeah.
So you talked to the attorney that day. What'd they say?
The attorney here locally is like, this is above my pay grade because it's federal. She only deals with like the DA local cases. So after that, she made some phone calls and we got connected with an attorney out of Los Angeles. And, I looked up her profile and she'd done stuff for like Chicago mob bosses and stuff. I'm just like, how are we in this world now? But okay. And she, we hired her as a retainer. We had no money, but a friend of ours gave us a little bit of money as a retainer just to reply to the subpoenas and all that. And, she reviewed everything and she's like, you know what? Like they threw out a huge net and you just kind of got caught up in it. We think we can talk to the AUSA, even though she made comments about this particular AUSA saying, I've never dealt with anybody so unprofessional. And and she's dealt with quite a few. Right. And she's like, we think we can handle this. And this is still in the summer of 2021, but it's going to cost another $50,000 for us to do this song and dance with them. And we don't have that. They literally put a lien, which is called a Liz pendant, on our house in California here that we bought in 2017 that had nothing to do with the PPP. But we had $1 million in equity. They put something on it, so we couldn't touch that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So at that time, we had to go to court appointed. My wife got the only single court appointed attorney over there, and then everybody else is a panel of attorneys. And you look up their day job, and they're all personal injury that are on this panel of attorneys. And I kind of relate it to getting ready to go in for triple bypass, and they gave us a pediatric dentist. Yeah. Like nobody did anything. I mean, we would question them, especially how they took put a Liz pendants on the house, and this is still pre-indictment. And they're like, no, we can't do anything. We can't do anything. Like, we're just going to wait.
Whoa. You were just being investigated at this point? There was no indictment?
Yeah.
Wow. And they put a lien on your house? How does that work?
Well, exactly. How does that work? That's basically, from what we've found, abuse of civil forfeiture. Like, because we weren't charged for a year later. And then my wife's a big researcher. I'm a big researcher. She even looked in the DOJ's own handbook, and you're supposed to either charge or refund the seized money within 90 days. Never happened. Every time we would push these court-appointed attorneys about that, they would say, we can't do anything, or they would just go and make us mad. And then they would just go to the court and ask to be removed as our attorney. And that went on for years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, we're like, we did not, like, we need somebody to fight. And unfortunately, nobody wanted to fight for us. And I think that's why you see, what do federal prosecutors have? A 98% win rate. And it's not really a win rate. It's a bullying rate to get you to either plead or.
Yeah, to plead.
So, yeah, I mean, that all went down. Erin, we were forced to plea.
Let's hold that right there. I got to take a commercial break here real quick, and we'll pick it up on the other side. Coming back in, we'll hear from John Lauro. You've seen it before. You'll actually see me introduce him. I just want to get his words on the record, what he says about this. And John was President Trump's attorney, defense attorney. We'll be right back with Chris Mazzei. just seeing like a proliferation of bad actors, a few bad actors that get all the media attention, or is this a systemic problem in federal law enforcement and federal Department of Justice operations?
I think it's systemic. I think it's been around for a long time. To quote Dante, I think in front of every federal courthouse there should be a saying, "Abandon all hope, all ye who enter here," because that's what happens. The federal system is geared not to justice, but getting a conviction. That's the reality of it. And in terms of the responsibility of lawyers, prosecutors have a particular responsibility to do justice, not just seek convictions here, but to do justice. You know, Jack Smith, who went after President Trump, also tried the Robert McDonald case, governor of Virginia.
Right.
He got a conviction. It went to the Supreme Court. He lost 8-0.
Right.
It would have been 9-0, but Justice Scalia passed away. And the process is the punishment in these cases. The prosecutors who bring these cases not only try to get a scalp, let's face it, but the process itself harms people. I think we have to look at 3 things. Number 1, there should be a permanent Office of Weaponization in the Department of Justice, fully staffed with aggressive leadership that looks at these issues every single day that the department prosecutes cases around the country. Second, we have to institutionalize these corrective measures that you've talked about. You saw the abuses firsthand, the lack of discovery, the lack of turning over exonerative material, the complete separation of resources. What you have as a defendant compared to what the government can bring is just incredibly unfair. And then finally, we have to recognize that heaven forbid there's another administration on the Democratic side, weaponization is going to be on steroids, in my judgment. It's going to get so much worse, and we better get ready.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show. It's Whistleblower Wednesday. And, you know, weaponization of the legal system in this country, especially by the federal level, is still happening. It's happening. You know about the high-profile victims of this, like President Trump and that, but what's still happening is the average citizen, hardworking Americans that just wanted to do the right thing, get caught up in these federal prosecution cases, and their measure of effectiveness, their metric that they're going for, federal prosecutors, is conviction rate. And they will do anything to get a conviction rate, and it's well into the high 90s, mostly because of plea deals. And my guest today is him and his wife, Erin, Chris Mazzei, are victims of this. I hate to use the word victims, Chris, but that's really what you are. You have been victimized by a legal system that is stacked. The deck is stacked against you. It coming out of the Biden administration, where it was stacked against you politically. If you had any indication whatsoever, if you were not on that side politically of that administration, it's just another mark against you. And you were talking before we went to the break about being forced into a plea deal and what happened to your wife, Erin. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we got offered a plea deal. I did not want to take it. I mean, my attorney hung up on me when I was talking to him about it, and he was a seasoned attorney. You know, it's coercion. It was basically extorting us to do this. They said, if you don't do the plea, we're gonna supersede more charges. Erin's attorney kept telling her, like, they're gonna charge my mom, who's 78 now, rheumatoid arthritis, has never had anything to do with our businesses, the day to day. And at the time, it's just like, what is, like, we thought we were living in, I don't even, like, bizarro world. Like, what is going on? So we were forced into it. They even had a stipulation in this plea agreement, if you would call it an agreement, basically saying we weren't even allowed to ask the judge for a lower sentence. You look up this kind of stuff going on, and it's for a first time person being charged. That stipulation's never put in there. It's for repeat offenders usually, or at all. I mean, both attorneys are like, we have never seen this. And basically the AUSA said, if you don't agree to it, I'm gonna file more charges. I'm gonna charge your mom. Even if you bring up the email from the loan originator in any of the hearings or to the judge, he's going to cancel the plea and he's going to file more charge. It was basically he got his way. He bullied us into a corner. We had no money to fight. Like I said, signing that plea was the worst day of my life. But I agreed to it the same day that President Trump took the nomination from the Republican Party to run again. And that's when my prayers went on overload to make sure he won. Yeah. At that sentencing hearing, which was last January 9th.
And were both of you guys sentenced at the same hearing?
Yeah, they did it all at the same, because we had to fly over to Hawaii for it. Because like I said, we're from California. Unfortunately, we're from California too. Yeah, at that sentencing hearing, first, we were the only courthouse open that day. That's when Jimmy Carter had his funeral. Every national, federal office, courthouse was closed, but we were the only ones there in Hawaii at the courthouse. I didn't see anybody else doing it. They were specially open for us, which felt very odd. We knew right when we were going through security and they're like, the Mazzeis are here. We're like, oh, we are here to get basically scalped. At that sentencing hearing, everything out of the prosecutor's mouth was a complete lie. And I just remember, being in a sentencing hearing to begin with, you are blacking out left and right because you're hoping you don't have a heart attack.
Right.
For the average person. But I just remember hearing everything he was saying. I'm like, okay, I need to buy the court transcripts, because literally everything he is saying, like, he said we paid off our house in California with the PPP loan. I'm like, our house was in a forbearance at the time. I have the paperwork. He said we bought a billboard with PPP funds to target Dwayne Johnson about the Ohana project. I'm like, no, that's wrong. In my head, I'm like, that is wrong again. Like, we bought that billboard 2 months after all our money was seized. That all those receipts from the billboard company were in discovery. So he knew he was lying. And that funds actually came from one of my best friends at the time. So I just knew, okay, I need to get the court transcripts. And once whatever's happening at this sentencing hearing, I need to take this basically to Trump. Like, because someone's got to look at it with common sense that doesn't have career aspirations like the AUSA or like Judge. So it was, it was a show. It was all for show. Erin got 27 months. I got 36. Erin beforehand said she would volunteer to go in first if it was staggered sentences, which it was. And the main reason is she knows I'm a fighter. I'm Italian. I get creative on, like you said earlier, if you're not on the national news about this, not a lot of people know what can happen to everyday Americans. And I'm like, okay, I need to figure out a way to get on that other side, to get attention. Basically, one, to make sure people know the truth of what happened, but two, to get people that have the power to actually see what happened to an average family for doing what they were told to do, in applying. Oh man, Erin, the judge was very harsh on her. Even about our house, she asked, we had a house at that time that had that equity in it. And he basically said in court, I don't care about your house, which I've talked to a couple other people that have had issues with their house. And the judge actually did something to work out a deal so they could keep their house.
Right.
But he flat out said, I don't care about your house, which is interesting because we get on a little bit about what happened with the house later. But he gave Erin 14 days to self-surrender. And so we had to come home. Our kids knew nothing about what was going on because we were kind of hopeful this would all, people would see, we thought the justice system would work. Even though we were being forced to plead, we'd see, hope the judge would see, hey, we paid back the majority of the loan. Even though we weren't allowed to say the reason why we applied for the loan, with using projections, like we thought there would still be some kind of justice here. Right. So we had to come home and tell the boys, and that was very emotional. And the judge made Erin self-surrender to Marshal Services a couple hours from our house because we don't live near any federal facilities. And Marshal Services there were like, what are you guys doing here? Like, we've never had anybody self-surrender here. Like, usually people that are brought to Marshal Services is coming from the police or they've been arrested. Yeah. So they didn't know what to do with her. And they're like, let me look up in the system. They were very nice, like, to see if she had been designated. But since the judge rushed it so much, it had not been designated to her camp. So they're like, unfortunately, she hasn't been designated, so we have to take her into custody. And I mean, I still have that image of her being taken into custody burnt in my eyes. I mean, of course. And that's what gave me the fire to fight for us. They put her in basically the Fresno County Jail. If you look it up, it's not a good place. It's very familiar. I think it's on the men's side, one of the worst places for murders. Yep. So Erin was thankful that she went in before me, but I mean, she was there for a couple weeks because we pushed really hard to get her to her camp, but she was still there a couple weeks. And I mean, she was next to gangbangers' wives or girlfriends and people. I mean, she saw people drinking hand sanitizer to get high. Like, it was, I mean, this woman, we've been married for 18 years. She's never had a parking ticket. So, and she's very strong, thank God. And she's very faithful. And she leaned into her faith, her Christianity faith. So that got her through. But luckily she was only there. We got her out of there as fast as possible. And she got to her camp and she spent roughly 13 months at the Victorville Women's Camp in Southern California. And she said after being in the county jail, that was a cakewalk, even though it's still, I mean, not ideal.
It's not summer camp, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you feel safer at least, but I mean, it's still, no one cares. None of the people working there, she said, cared. She kept pushing because she actually should have been out a few months before. And they weren't doing any of the calculations for the First Steps Act, any of that stuff correctly. Even after Director Marshall's directives, no one was just following it. So she worked there. She was actually the lead at the warehouse doing, driving forklifts, and, it made the day go by fast. I tell her, I'm like, I think the reason why they kept you there longer is because you were doing such a good job. Like, you didn't want to leave that, but I'm like,
there's a double edge to that sword. Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, I think you're right too. Yeah. Well, we got to take another break. When we come back, we'll see another incoming clip from Michael Caputo this time. But I want to continue the story. Just let you tell the story, Chris, because it's extremely important that people understand. The same thing that happened to Mike Flynn when they threatened to put his son in jail happened to you when they went after your 80-something-year-old relative.
It's a playbook. It's a playbook.
Yeah, it's a playbook, and it's unconscionable. It really, literally is unconscionable. We'll be right back with Chris Mazzei on Whistleblower Wednesday.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab. And here, you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app.
News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
What needs to happen next?
You know, I think the first thing that has to happen is we have to have a task force that looks at all these people who are, going to jail shortly, whose wives are in halfway houses now because they got out of prison. These are families who are suffering. My family suffered a lot. These families are bleeding today. So we need an absolute task force to go out and find all these people who the weaponized government went after. By the way, it's not just DOJ, it's the Federal Reserve.
What you're saying is that there's a large universe of people who you believe are still being persecuted.
Truly.
This government weaponization.
Truly, I don't.
And that even under this president who promised to end weaponization, it continues.
It does. It does. And I don't blame the president. I don't think any of us knew how big this was.
I don't think any of us knew how big this was. That's Mr. Michael Caputo, who suffered the same type of circumstances that our guest today did, talking with Catherine Herridge recently about this issue of weaponization, and it's continuing under the Trump administration. And we don't blame the president. As a matter of fact, we thank President Trump for inspiring people and putting the executive orders in place and getting legislation passed and appointing people to do things like reform the Federal Bureau of Prisons, which I have listened to that man and his deputies speak face to face about the actions they're taking. When I watched him appear with Todd Crisley at an event not long ago, about the same time I met today's guest, Chris Mazzei, that same time frame, and they're sincere and they understand what they're doing. But it's a big job, and as Michael said at the end of that clip there, we didn't realize how big it is. And Chris Mazzei is my guest today, and Chris, Mr. Caputo is a friend of yours. One of the blessings out of this is you've met a lot of great Americans that do want to do the right thing, like Michael.
Yeah, it's a little surreal, to be honest, because when I took on this whole fight, I had really no connections with federal politics. I mean, I've always been a registered Republican and voted Republican and was a huge fan of Donald Trump. I mean, even before he became president, I'm like, this is exactly what we need. We need a businessman running the country. But I mean, yeah, I was at that same event with you in DC, and it was surreal. I mean, you met my kids, being at the Capitol, everybody in suits, all this. I mean, there was Secret Service around, and I mean, it was surreal. But yeah, Michael Caputo, that was just a gift from God. I mean, we talk a lot. I mean, in that clip when he mentions people getting ready to go to jail and wives stuck in halfway house, he was literally talking about us, Erin and myself.
I figured he was.
And then he called me right before that was going to come out, and he also wrote a big article, and he mentions Erin and I and two other people's situations that, you know, he's trying to get the attention of President Trump because we weren't big names. We weren't big names like Todd Crisley and stuff like that. And it was a godsend, especially him, and then even Roger Stone, which we all know.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and Chris has been on Roger Stone's show recently, folks. He and Aaron both. So you need to go find that if you're following Roger Stone. If you're not following Roger Stone, shame on you.
Yeah.
I consider him a mentor and a friend, even though I just met him personally a few years ago. And he's a solid guy, man. I'll tell you what. Well, we got some questions in the audience. I want to take one real quick
sure.
And then let you continue your story about your experiences. Go ahead. Shell is our host over there. Well, let's reconnect. We'll reconnect the audience. Kick me out of there, and then we'll come back to you when I get back in. Yeah. We have technical difficulties on live television sometimes, and this is one of those times, unfortunately. But Chris, you were mentioning that Erin worked driving a forklift at the prison system. Did she have, what was her experiences like while she was serving the sentence inside the prison itself? It was a tough environment, obviously, but she encounter any of these processes or procedures that were being done overly done or not done enough in the case of her self-protection and those kind of things? Any issues like that?
I mean, protection wise, I mean, she was in a camp, so I don't think she ever felt threatened. The majority of the women there are either financial tax stuff or like low level people like drug violators. So she has seen people still try to get high, people trading their medication for whatever. She saw, I mean, she did see how probably contraband was coming in, which when I was at the thing in DC with you at the Capitol, I did have a good 20-minute conversation with Director Marshall, and Todd Chrisley is hopefully still trying to set up a phone call between Erin and him just to kind of give him more of the inside scoop on just, I know he's trying, I mean, he is trying to change it, but a lot of these facilities are, you know, I use the example, the BOP's a machine, and a bunch of for the past however many decades, they've been using super glue, and he's now trying to oil it again, you know, to get it back running, and everybody wants it with glue.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think we've got the audience back. We'll take that question now. Go ahead, Shell.
We have Wib, sir.
Thank you, Shell. Thank you, Colonel. And Mr. Mazzei, your story is getting me extremely angry. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your service. The question that I have, and I'm not sure how much insight you have into this, but your difficulty in maintaining a consistency with your defense attorneys, did that have anything to do with the 65 project?
What's the 65 project?
The 65 project is the project that they launched where they tried to launch ethics complaints against any attorney that is defending a conservative defendant.
Oh, I don't know. Like, I honestly feel our attorneys they didn't care. Like, that's this kind of the way it felt. I don't know if I kind of don't even want to think if there was ulterior motives, like, because like this has pissed me off for, I mean, we're going on 5 years now.
Yeah.
And like I said, there could be ties there. There could not. I don't honestly don't know, and I don't want to speculate, but I feel like the more and more people I've talked to, they just, if you can't find like attorneys like John, like that for President Trump, like guys like that are the other ones we met at Weaponization Watch when we did that roundtable, Colonel. Like, all those attorneys were amazing. I'm like, God, I wish I would have found you, because they actually seem like they care.
Yeah.
So I just think that they just didn't care, to be honest.
Public appointed attorneys are criminal attorneys are it's a hit and miss, you know. And do you think that Wib brought up the political question, and I mentioned it too, but do you guys think there was a political aspect to this?
I honestly, for the first maybe, you go through a weird phase when you're going through this. First, there's a split second. You're like, wait, did I do something wrong? And then you kind of go back through everything that you did, and you're like, no, like, I'm going crazy over this. Like, I didn't do any of this. And then my father-in-law, I think you and I talked about him. He's the one that basically is like, I think they're doing this because of the TV show. Like, I mean, we were kind of doing what Nick Shirley's doing in California, but not, I mean, it was more in an entertainment way, because there's never been a show like this in Hawaii. So he kind of planted that little thought in the back of my head, like it could be political. I mean, we were in Hollywood, but we're like Dean Cain. We're conservative people in Hollywood. That's why we're not very successful. Because I mean, it's a shady world, a very scummy world. But
yeah.
I think if it were political, it would be that. I mean, obviously, I have voted for Trump every time he's run, except I couldn't vote in this last election because I'm a felon now. I'm hoping to be able to vote in 2028 or even at the midterms this year. But yeah, I mean, is it political? Could be.
Yeah, I think there's some aspect of it that likely is for sure. The now Erin's been released; she's out. What's your stat?
So as of right now, Erin's on home confinement, and we have basically Todd Chrisley to thank for that tremendously. I mean, I like that commercial you ran at the beginning of the hour. Like I made one basically him interviewing Director Marshall and ran it, and Todd reached out to me within 10 or 15 minutes on X saying what's going on, and we've started a relationship. And he basically was able to get her on federal location monitoring, which apparently there's only 50 people in the whole U.S. on it.
Wow.
So she serves the rest of her term. She can leave 4 hours a week to do, you know, we can go to lunch, we can go to Costco, whatever she wants to do. She's allowed to do that, or go on doctor's appointments and things like that. Besides that, she's got to be home. That's supposed to end on June 8th. And then I'm supposed to have a status hearing on July 9th. And that's when the judge is supposed to stamp everything and then have me designated. Luckily, in the paperwork from the sentencing hearing, I will be allowed to go to my designation. I don't have to go to Marshal Services and do what she had to do, unless he somehow is able to swindle his way and change that. But as of right now, yeah, I'll probably have to self-surrender sometime in August, I would assume.
And your sentence is 36 months?
36, yeah. And I mean, it's going to be hard on the kids because I've been basically a single dad with them now for the past year. They've relied on me, and I've always been a present father because my dad was never there like that. So even before all this, Erin and I always took the kids to school. We always picked them up together. I always wanted to be there because I wanted to cherish those memories when they're old and I can't, I wanted to remember that. So,
when I met your boys, I was like, these guys have it together, and that only comes from present parents, especially dads.
And they're at that age where they both need parents. I mean, Luke, our oldest, is going to start learning to drive next year, so all that kind of stuff breaks my heart if I won't be there to do that. So that's why, I mean, we just have to, Roger Stone says, fight, fight, fight.
Absolutely. We got about 30 seconds before the last commercial break, but have you engaged Todd Chrisley about maybe getting home confinement? Is there a possibility to do that, or you have to go?
He said that they are ramping up FLM towards the end of this year, so there is a possibility.
Okay.
But he said to kind of just keep them in the loop, see what happens over the summer with us.
Yeah. All right, man. We got to take a break. We'll be right back with Chris Mazzei. This is horrendous, folks. It's horrendous that any American has to go through this process when they're innocent. And that's the issue here. That's the issue, is the system is being used to pummel Americans that were trying to do the right thing, trying to follow the law, and because of some crazy prosecutor and policy from the federal government, they're being incarcerated unnecessarily and attacked, and they're having their lives right now as you speak. Chris and Erin aren't the only ones. Somebody is going through this also. We'll be right back with Christmas.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home. Went to bed.
Blagojevich, I used to be the governor of Illinois, the 40th governor of Illinois, and inmate number 408922424. And I'm here to talk about weaponization, lawfare, the misuse and abuse of power by uncontrolled prosecutors with unlimited resources who make names for themselves to put innocent people in prison, criminalize things that aren't crimes, who will get you at all costs because it's all about winning and not about justice. But I've learned the hard way that the gift of freedom is fragile. And it's fragile when you have people who have power, who abuse that power, who manipulate, abuse the law, and turn it into a weapon to get other people who haven't done anything wrong. Not only did I not do it, but I would never give in to those corrupt prosecutors who wanted me to say a few things. And if I did, they'd go easy on me. They were even dangling 18 months after they had failed to convict me at a first trial. Then tried me a second time, used unlawful standards, actually used standards the United States Supreme Court said were not the law to win convictions for legal conversations, things that weren't crimes. I have lived the American dream, but I've also had the bad experience of living a Kafkaesque nightmare, and I'm not alone. And so it's a real pleasure for me to be involved with Cynthia Hughes, who's really heroic in her efforts to organize people at the grassroots level to take back our government by fighting to protect people who've been wrongfully accused of crimes they haven't committed. And organizers like Cynthia Hughes and her organization, weaponizationwatch.com, are mobilizing people around our country to be active and involved with great Americans like Ed Martin, the pardon attorney, who's working out in the Department of Justice to actually do something about the abuse of power from those who sometimes will abuse their power within the Department of Justice. So it's a real pleasure for me to be here. There's so much work to be done. In the final analysis, all of us have a responsibility, I think, to please the Lord. And what would that be? What is it that he requires from us? It is to do justice, love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show. We're live on Worldview Tube, and our X Spaces simulcast is back now, and we're taking questions from the audience when they have them. And my guest today is Mr. Chris Mazzei. He and his wife, Erin, were victims and are victims of the weaponization of the Department of Justice and federal prosecutions. And we're talking about their story, but that was Governor Blagojevich there, who recently joined us at Weaponization Watch, that was established by Cynthia Hughes. And we appreciate him very much. I said this to him when I met him and was sitting at the table with him. I didn't think that I would be sitting next to a former Democrat governor of Illinois anytime soon in total agreement with him. But Chris, he touched on some things there that I wanted to give you a chance to talk about to see if they happened to you. One of them is, were you prevented from getting discovery? Did they did hide evidence on you guys?
So it was, sorry, I had a little coughing spell. We're all going through a cold at the house here. It was almost reversed. They just withheld, the emails that we had, they basically said, oh, they're not real because, you filled out the forms wrong. So you're already a crook. So they didn't even have them. We tried to say, hey, look in this email account, which apparently they never, got a warrant for. They only got a warrant for my Gmail. They never got a warrant for my business email, from what we found out, or from what we've seen. And that's where I reached out in the beginning. It was from my business email. Obviously, a lot of people have personal and business. And apparently, I guess they must have only gotten a warrant with Gmail, and we that business account was not through Gmail. So basically, I think that what's that like? Basically, a Brady violation is what we've kind of learned. Or
Yeah, because you guys can offer up the emails, right?
yeah, and that's what we did, and that's when he said, if you do that, and if you try and produce that in court, that's when we're going to charge. Like he basically said, we're going to charge you with more stuff, or we're going to charge your mom. Yeah, like it didn't feel real. It literally felt like we were like, I don't even know what, dealing against the mob, or like it's like.
Yeah, and what did your attorneys say about that? I mean, doesn't that prevent you from aggressively defending yourself, which is what our system is built on, right?
And that's the problem when you have an attorney that I think they knew Aaron and I were difficult because we kept saying we need you to fight, and nobody's fighting. They just turned their attitude to I'm just gonna mitigate the best outcome for you. You're still gonna have to you're gonna have to plead, but I've kind of given up. That's the kind of feeling that we got. I mean, Erin has multiple emails from her attorney that kind of if you read between the lines state that. And even one of the emails, even after the sentencing, her attorney basically said the judge was not acting impartial. He was acting out of emotion on our sentencing day. I mean, he literally calls the judge out.
I was going to ask you about the judge, because that sounded that way to me now that you brought it up. I mean, what do you think made them emotional?
I don't know. Honestly, from what the attorney said at our change of plea hearing, the judge made some comment like, one of you might want to consider going in now. And both the attorneys had never heard that before. So we kind of asked, we're like, well, okay, if first we still didn't know if we were going to get time, because our attorney said they were going to argue our actual loss over intended loss. That would have dropped the point system that the federal sentencing works on, where it could have given the judge the option for probation.
Right.
But they never did that, even though that's how they kind of sold us to do the plea deal. So we had asked, and they said, well, no, you wouldn't be going to your camp. You would have to fly over to Hawaii and stay, and it would be Erin, because she said she'd go first. She'd have to fly to Hawaii over Christmas of 2024 and self-surrender there to the detention center. We did a bunch of, I talked to a bunch of people. The detention centers are basically hell on earth. The Hawaii one, the women's side, it's mostly Hawaiian natives there. So you're going to have my beautiful blonde hair, fair-skinned wife in a detention center in Hawaii, where I believe it's been 3 or 4 guards have been indicted in the past couple years for rape. So we said, she's not doing that. Like, even her dad's like, you're not doing that. And I think that's what they basically were claiming the judge was upset about, is no one, even our probation officers here, our pretrial officers, have never heard of that. Like, why would you go
why would you be forced to fly yourself to Hawaii
before you're even being sentenced to be basically like, I don't know what the rush was. A fun fact though, one of the plot lines in our TV series was about a true story about a politician in Hawaii that it was for campaign fraud. And at that time, the AUSA working that case was our judge when he was the AUSA in Hawaii in the 90s.
There's the emotional part.
I don't know. I mean, that's if you want to try and spiderweb these pieces back together. But I had found that out because yeah.
Well, where are you guys? I assume you're in the appeals process now that the sentencing's been carried out.
Well, since we were forced to plea, you don't have a normal appeals. You file a 2255. and that was sent in January because you have to do it within a year. And basically, we're only tied to ineffective assistance of counsel, even though we were able to. And I had to do this all pro se because we have no attorneys anymore, because we had to do an ineffective assistance of counsel for our previous ones. And I mean, there's one email that basically calling out my attorney for not doing anything. And it's CC'd on a lot of people, basically saying you haven't done anything that you said you were going to do. Like I was telling him he needs to remove himself. And he's like, I'll do a better job. Like it was the same song and dance. So we are in the 2255 process. That would only basically allow the judge to change the sentence. Right. It wouldn't do anything else. And he hasn't ruled on anything. He hasn't even asked for a hearing, evidentiary hearing. And we're going on now a month since he's basically been quiet about it.
It's the same judge?
Same judge. It's got to go to the sentencing judge, unfortunately. So, like I said, it needs to go to upper management. It needs to go to the White House, people without ulterior motives that actually can look at stuff with common sense. And
yeah, it does. So what about the pardons process? Do you have support under that process, and are you trying to avail yourselves of that?
Yeah, I mean, the first person that stepped up for us was Roger Stone, having me on, interviewing and talking about our case. Michael Caputo, and then recently meeting Cynthia Hughes with Weaponization Watch. I mean, obviously you know her very well, and just how adamant she was with the January 6th people. Mm-hmm. I was able to talk to Ed Martin a little bit when I was in DC, and he met the kids and the boys. He actually wanted a picture with them, so that was nice. But I mean, I have this feeling, and I don't know. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, right. But I mean, we're hoping something happens in the next couple months. I mean, there's just so many. I mean, there's just so many people that have just been railroaded that don't deserve it.
And I'm sure there's thousands and thousands of pardon applications too.
I think I've heard that. I mean, I think there's thousands just around Ed in the White House, and then I think there's tens of thousands that are bottlenecked from years ago with the traditional DOJ pardon application. Yeah. So, I mean, I understand it's a major undertaking, and I know learning more about the world of politics, like stuff gets put aside for other issues, and you just kind of have to keep praying that our time and other people's times that I've met will come. Because I mean,
absolutely,
it's really disgusting.
Yeah, and we'll keep it out there. We'll keep the story out there. I try to do a story on every one of these that I come across, especially folks that are not well known, because those are the folks that need the help the most, just to get their story out there. And I appreciate you coming in and telling you and Erin's story, Chris. I got about 20 seconds left. Tell folks where they can find you real quick, and we'll get this thing post-production posted to social media.
Yeah, I mean, you can go to X. It's called, my friends call me Cobb, or call me Cobb. Or just Google my name on there. And then the website we did is savemazzei.com. So you'll learn more about, I mean, we didn't even get into what the prosecutor did with our house and trying to steal it at foreclosure and using our money to buy it back, or try to buy it back. I mean, that was just,
unbelievable.
There's more.
Yeah, go check that out. Go to that website. Follow Chris on X. I follow him there. I appreciate you coming on, sir. Tomorrow's Truth Thursday. Jeremy Harrell's coming on. He's a combat veteran that's been attacked by a weaponized inspector general's office through the law by the VA. It's unbelievable what this veteran has had to go through. And we'll see you then on the Rob Maness Show.